Okay, so then comes the next point. यार ये game खेलने क्यों है कि you have to move around the interest rate, you have to bring it down, then you have to bring it up. All this nonsense. Why do it? Like, and why make like so much news on it? See, basically what was happening in the last 2-3 years was that the inflation or the price increase was very very fast. For example, you would have seen your rents going up like crazy, your kids' school fee going up like crazy. Medical inflation in India was 14%, 14% per year, etc., etc. Right? So there was like a lot of महंगाई. Now this, in simple terms, is called as inflation. Now if the interest rates are kept very very low, then so therefore, the Fed had to increase the interest rate. Right now, what people miss in terms of analyzing macroeconomics is that we are designed to keep the interest rate low or possibly as low as we can because we are a growth-driven world, growth at any cost type of a world. So please do not get scared कि interest rate कट रहा है ये वो stuff की economy collapse हो जाएगी. Even if the economy collapses, then they will cut the interest rate to like literally like I don't know 1% and try to reinstate the growth. But just to quickly answer that why do we have to go through this drama? The short answer there is that see, sometimes the inflation goes up really fast and in those circumstances they have to keep the rates up high. Now recently the data started coming in that inflation is cooling off. Inflation बिल्कुल control में आ गया है. So therefore they are now cutting the interest rate so that they can accelerate the flow of money through the economy and as a result they will be able to drive more growth. Okay, so that's a simple point. I hope that this point was understood. So now comes the next question कि भाई ठीक है interest rate कट गया right and but इस बार इतनी noise क्यों? Why you are making like so much noise that 0.5 basis point cut हो गया interest? Okay, now for this you need to take a look at this chart, right? So for example आप ये देखोगे कि this was 2.5, then it was 2.25, then it was 2. Whenever interest rates are typically cut, then they typically get cut by 0.25%. But this time the Fed has actually cut the interest rate really fast. Now what is the difference between cutting the interest rate really fast and really slow? See, if the Fed is cutting interest rate very fast, they are trying to prevent a recession. Okay, अभी तक बात इतनी हो रही थी कि अच्छे you know what recession आ जाएगा, global economy is not moving. So this is a very important fundamental point to consider that even the Fed inherently believes that hey, the economy is weak. And in order to accelerate it now, they have to cut the interest rate really, really fast. Counterpoint here is that see, this year there is US election and US politicians चाहेंगे कि भाई अपना stock market ऊपर रखें this that stuff. So इसलिए उन्होंने काट दिया maybe, right? So that is another possibility. But my macro thesis is leaning towards one that our economy is actually weak. The entire world economy is actually very fragile. It's not growing at a very fast growth rate. So politicians need to create that illusion of growth, so to say. So they will try to move around the interest rate really fast in order to accelerate the growth, right? So this is precisely what is happening. So then comes the next point that, okay, how will this all game impact the stock market? Well, the stock market will go up. Why? Because the stock market is an asset price game. मैंने आपको कितनी लंबी history दिखा दी. From 1976 to now, the stock market or this blue line has gone up like crazy. Okay, but what people don't tell you, right, or the context they don't set is that see, during this time the inflation also went up, right? So inflation means कि ठीक है, आपके 10 rupees you had invested here, now this has become 1000 rupees. Okay, but is this really like 100x growth? The short answer is no. Why is this not a 100x growth? Because of this enemy called as inflation. Ki the real buying power of this 1000 rupees what, right? I mean, if you go back to 1976, it would be a lot less, right? So आप इसको मान सकते हो कि 1000 की जगह पे maybe like it will be like 300 rupees, right? So that's the actual growth we are looking at, right? So it's not 100x, it's possibly like 30x adjusted for inflation, right? So the question is wrong that hey, stock market, will it go up or not? Yes, stock market will of course go up, but so will the inflation.